I never thought that furry Souls-like meets Assassin's Creed would be the kind of game that I would enjoy, but then Kristala was like, hold my catnip. Kristala is a dark fantasy action RPG featuring Sekiro-inspired combat, acrobatic parkour, and exploration to uncover a detailed and immersive story. That is what it says on the Steam page at the very least, and that is kind of the vibe that I got while playing through the demo. So let's have a look at what Kristala has to offer. First off, my name is Doublezone, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to boop that like button, subscribe for more, or check out the playthrough I have of this Kristala demo right here on my channel. For now though, let's jump into the video. Definitely a unique touch in Kristala is the fact that you play as an anthropomorphic cat. Wait, did I say that right? Anthropomorphic? Hang on. Anthropomorphic, Jesus Christ. You play as an anthropomorphic cat. Character creator is pretty standard with body 1 and 2, a multitude of fur types and patterns, and 2 voices for your standard grunting as you fight. So besides the fact that you're customizing a bipedal cat, nothing out of the ordinary here. Except of course the fact that you can choose between 2 clans. Of course I went for the clan that gave me the highest ninja vibes, because I too was once an edgy teenager. There were a number of classes to choose from in the demo. Some of them seemed pretty standard, like warrior or assassin, though one did stand out to me, which was Spellblade. I've always been a fan of wielding magic alongside weapons, ever since Neo the Magic Swordsman from Yu-Gi-Oh! So we chose exactly that and set out on our very own furry adventure. Another note that I need to make here, which I thought was pretty interesting, is the fact that Kristala has difficulty settings. You have easy, normal or default, and hard difficulty. Already making Souls-like pretty accessible, but what impressed me the most was the fact that the easy difficulty setting had dynamic difficulty. As in, the game will track how well or bad you are doing and adjust the enemy difficulty accordingly. This is a very nice touch and a really subtle way of saying, hey, you kinda suck at this game, but don't worry, we got you. We went for the default setting, however, because I'm too damn proud for my own good. I did play this with a controller, as it feels like these kinds of games would play a lot easier while using a controller. But what do I know, I have literally never played a Souls-like in my entire life. And also I couldn't change the keyboard settings, so I had to use a controller. Loading in, I immediately get to jumping and trying things out, accidentally wasting all of my mana as I do because I'm a noob. So I decide to have a chat with this guy over here who happens to be the leader of the clan we are doing our little trial for, and coincidentally also a ventriloquist, as his mouth was not moving while he spoke. Did not expect that, pretty impressive detail. We are told that we need to make our way to the fishing village, so off we go. The first area was filled with what looked to be husks, already setting a pretty dark narrative and creepy tone for the game. I like it. I'll spend the rest of my playthrough warily wading through these husks, keeping an eye on any of them that might move. Kind of the opposite of what you do when you visit your grandparents in the retirement home, where you wade through husks and see which one of them don't move anymore. The first area obviously takes you through a little bit of a tutorial zone and everything is explained pretty well. Standard movement and jump twice when near a wall or tree to jump off, which fulfills that teenage dream of mine to become a ninja. Basic attack, stronger attack, then attacks that use mana as well, which I'd been doing at the start, causing us to waste all of it, but at least I know which buttons to press. The enemies so far seem to be these shambling husks as well as these weird rats, because when you play as a cat, of course your enemy has to be a rat. Combat wasn't too difficult, with the dodge option being available, making it quite easy to roll out of the way of danger, though one hit was definitely enough to put me in my place again and remind me that this was indeed still a Souls-like. Now I can't tell you how much time I spent as a kid playing Tenchu Stealth Assassins on the PlayStation 1, but the fact that I could sneak around on top of the buildings, jump down and instantly take out one enemy that didn't see me felt amazing. Or sneak up on them from behind buildings or through the tall grass. I found I started playing this less like a Souls-like and more like Assassin's Creed. We then encountered this weird plant growth husk creature, which reminds me of a homebrewed enemy I used in my D&D campaign. Now I don't know how long the developers have been working on this game, so I'm not quite sure if I can sue them for copyright infringement, but I kinda like them so far, so I'll give them a pass. Kill the creature, move on, and find our first, well, technically second, crystal fountain thingy where you can rest up, check spells, etc. This is also where I'm told that interacting with these fountains and resting up respawns some enemies, so technically you can farm experience and level up a bit if you so wish. A little ways ahead we see a maiden in distress, so we sneak up to see if we can aid her in her quest, but she turns out to be a bit of a bitch. I was ready to just wish her good luck standing still here in between all these enemies and the corruption, but she did promise a reward if we'd help her, and gods do I love rewards. So sure, sarcastic, sassy, not quite maiden in distress, I accept. This starts another quest you can do here, showing that there's a bit more depth to the game than just go from point A to point B. I like it. The path further up ahead splits up as well, only confirming my suspicions that there is more than just a linear path to follow. This is where we learn that some enemies won't just fall even if you manage to get off a nice sneak attack, and we are quickly humbled by the fact that this is still very much a Souls-like, and we can't just continue cheesing our way through with stealth attacks. Get it? Cheese? Because rats. Right. Also, the enemies now get a bit steampunky, with motorized saw blades attached to their bodies and charge attacks that sent me screaming like a little girl the first time one of them did that, and I couldn't help but wonder if you'd be able to change difficulty from medium to easy mid-game. I am not that proud. We make our way further into this fort, which had more enemies than I expected. Luckily, with some clever use of our ninja cat skills and the high grass, we managed to take down a great deal of them without actually fighting. One of the stronger enemies here also got very confused the moment he stepped under the scaffolding. Apparently he'd never seen an overhang before, and needed a couple of minutes to admire its firm, sturdy, wooden construction. He still kinda kicked our ass though. Cleared the fort, grabbed the key for the village gate, and we turned back towards the village we saw before. Again, a bunch of standard enemies to take out, which is amazing to train our Assassin's Creed skills. We open the gate, make our way over the water by jumping on the platforms, and get to a new area, which we find patrolled by fish people. And as we all know, fish are a cat's second biggest enemy, so taste my claws, Murloc. It's in this area that we learn that poison is a thing, and hurts. A lot. Now, poison does need time to build, so as long as you avoid the poison clouds, I found that you were able to avoid getting actually poisoned, which is pretty neat. More poison bugs, husks, fish people, and weird caterpillars later, and oh look, a convenient way back to our last save point, and a little ways further up ahead, a grand open area in the middle of a lake. Surely this isn't foreshadowing anything. Plot twist so wild, even my neighbors needed therapy. The boss fight in and of itself was actually pretty fun. Lofi had some pretty easy dodgeable ranged attacks, but his melee attacks were rather brutal. Once you got the hang of his rotation, however, I found it to be a good introduction to Souls-like bosses and managed to take him down first try. With Lofi taken down, our time with the demo had run its course, and so here is my full report on Kristala. On the plus side, Kristala was a great introduction to Souls-like for people like me who had never played a Souls-like before, even on medium difficulty. Movement was surprisingly fluid. Indie Souls-like doesn't immediately spark confidence for the combat fluidity, but honestly I had very little issues. The combination of sneaking around, taking enemies out with a well-placed stealth attack, combined with the brutal, unforgiving combat of a Souls-like, was pretty awesome. Definitely brought me back to my Tenchu days back on PlayStation 1. Now on the negative side, minor bugs still that need to be looked at, like the ventriloquist in the beginning, which I'm pretty sure wasn't meant to be a ventriloquist, getting stuck behind barrels or crates, etc., but nothing unforgiving. Enemy AI can be improved still. If one enemy has spotted me and is shooting at me standing shoulder to shoulder with a second enemy, that second enemy should also be aggroed. Which during my testing wasn't the case. Why am I here? I'm kind of missing the why, the what, the where, the how. Now this may be because it was a demo, or it may be because I'm used to playing role-playing games where the story is a little bit more in your face. But a bit more context would have been nice. With all of that said and done, Kristala's demo convinced me to actually buy the game itself, and I haven't regretted it so far. And who knows, maybe Kristala can convince me to play other Souls-likes. If you're interested in the gameplay, I have a full demo run up on my channel, which you can check out. But as always, take care and happy adventuring, my friends. Oh look, another prophecy fulfilled by the power of common sense. Ah yes, as foretold in the ancient scrolls of the blatantly obvious. Well, this was about as unexpected as taxes and disappointment.